Hello, friends. Are you in the process of finalizing New Year resolutions? Then you need to listen to this first. Build tiny habits instead of the resolutions. In the Indian culture, there is a concept of doing Shatapavali, which means walking 100 steps after every meal. There is also a practice to recite particular shlokas or evening prayers like Shubham Karoti Kalyanam Arogyam Dhanasampada, which means salutations to the light of the lamp, the originator of auspiciousness, health, and prosperity. To recite them after lighting the lights in front of the god after sunset. Another example is Vamakukshi, which is to take a nap or just lie down with the left side of the body resting on the bed or sofa or floor after the lunch, which helps digest the food better and faster. Seems like our ancestors and the rishis from Vedic times had thought about the principles around building simple, quick habits and built them into the way of living life so that people can just adopt to it as a social or cultural activity or principle. I had struggled many years for trying to build strong habits and make them stick until one day when I accidentally came across something which has made a huge difference since then. Let me share what I have been able to do consistently. I have been doing anywhere between 40 and 50 push-ups every single day for last many months. To the utter surprise of my dentist, for the first time in this entire period, I have been flossing my teeth every single day for last many months. I have been doing the plank for about 4 to 5 minutes overall in a single day for the last many months, and it seems like it has helped improve my posture. I have written something constructive and published YouTube videos every other day for the last many months. I have stuck to my spiritual practice of reciting a few shlokas every single day for the last many months. Before this, many times I have been successful in building good habits, but they would not last long enough. You might have heard one or more variations of the rules like 21-day rule or 30-day rule or 66-day rule to form and stick to the new habits. I'm not getting into debating about which one is right or wrong, but I want to share how I have been able to stick to these habits consistently. The most important part is that with this way, it only takes about 2 to 4 days to make the habit stick. Yes, you heard it right. It only takes about 2 to 4 days to make the habit stick. Bruce Lee famously said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks, but I do fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. To form a new behavior or a habit, according to Dr. B.J. Fogg of the Stanford University, who developed this tiny habits principle further, there are 4 critical aspects which need to be considered. One is motivation. Second is ability. Third is the trigger or reminder. and fourth is the reward. When we finalize our New Year resolutions, our motivation is very high, but mostly the ability is not at a higher level, as normally we would choose something related to health, savings, love, career, self improvement as these resolutions. So we are depending mainly on the motivation to build the habit. Take the example of exercise. In the first week, we do the exercise every day. Then somehow we remember that someone informed a few years back that the exercise should be done only on alternate days. Then the second week goes by going to the gym only on alternate days. By the time we are in the third week, the motivation level has dropped tremendously and our body is full of pain. So we end up skipping most of the days. In the fourth week, the motivation is really low, but the ability needed to continue is still high, and there ends the resolution. But if we choose something which needs extremely low ability, needs no or extremely less investment of time and money, then even with the low motivation, we will be able to continue with the behavior. This is where the tiny habits come in. The habits should be so tiny at the start that we can do it without any effort, like doing only 2 push ups at a time. That takes only 4 seconds. We all have heard about the baby steps and know that it works. But the problem is how exactly to make it work is not clear to most of us most of the times. For me, every time I wash my hands, the first thing I do is 5 push ups, which takes 10 seconds. Over the day, it adds up to the desired count which I want. Sometimes less, sometimes more. If for any reason I am not willing to do 5 push ups, I go back to doing at least 2 push ups, which takes only 4 seconds. The key here is to make sure that we never go back to zero. We never skip. Even 1 push up is okay, but not zero. In the Marathi language, there is a saying, "Thembe thembe tale sache," which means a lake is formed with one drop at a time. It perfectly suits here to understand how the baby steps work to build a strong and lasting habit. Next is the trigger or reminder. When we have to get reminded of something, we use technology nowadays. We have notifications and alarms on our mobile phones. 15 minutes before a meeting, our cell phone notification reminds us of it. We wake up to the alarms, although keep pushing that snooze button a few times before we get up. So much so that the phone providers have made the snooze button much bigger than the button to close the alarm. To build a new habit, we need to build the trigger around some other daily activity or habit which we already have or do. So our mind reminds us immediately after we complete that activity which we are doing every day multiple times. Like Shatapavali, walking 100 steps is after every meal. Like reciting the evening prayers is after lighting the lights in front of the god after sunset. Like Vamakukshi, just lying down with the left side resting on the bed is to be done after the lunch. The main point is that the triggering activity has to be defined very accurately to the minute detail. Instead of saying that I will floss my teeth before going to bed every night, it is better to define it like this. In the night, after I turn on the light switch in front of the bathroom mirror, I will first take out a floss pick from the Ziploc packet, which is conveniently placed right next to the light switch, and I will floss my teeth, and only after that I will remove my contact lenses. So, turning on the light switch is my trigger. It reminds me to take out the floss pick every single day without fail. The convenient placement of the packet makes it easier. Another example is every time after I wash my hands, I will do 5 push ups immediately. The pandemic situation forced me to wash hands very frequently, and my push up count easily went to 40 or 50 a day. The key word in defining the trigger is after. Trying the new activity after we complete something we already do, or sometimes even before triggers will work for some. Next comes the reward. Our mind works in a great way. If we reward ourselves for doing something good, it gets the needed satisfaction and then helps us remind accurately and maintain the momentum of success. Dopamine is a chemical released in the brain that makes us feel good. The reward is something like that. The reward here is not monetary or not about going and buying some items. The key to the reward is that it should be on the spot after completing our new behavior to have the maximum benefit of that reward. You must have seen in the sports games that the teams have a ritual specifically developed by them, which they do when they score a touchdown, or score a goal, or hit a home run, or take a wicket in the game of cricket. It is done on the spot with a combination of gestures displaying joy and achievement. The reward we need to come up with is something similar. It may be giving a thumbs up to ourselves in the mirror after flossing the teeth, or maybe doing a fist and saying yes after doing the push ups. You can come up with your own rewards like doing a little dance, giving a high five to ourselves, and so on. Imagination is the limit. Have a different reward tied to different habits. Without these rewards, people tend to stick less to the new behavior over time as compared to those who follow the reward ritual. Personally, for me, these rewards are a must. I'm kind of waiting to get that reward to myself after my mind reminds me, based on the trigger, to do a certain habit. With this method, within the first day itself, I was hooked to the new behaviors, and I am amazed at the way it sticks over the long term and turns into a real habit. Because over the period, our strength, our ability also starts increasing. Start with 2 push ups every time, and within a few weeks, we can go to 8 or 12 push ups every time, and then to 20, 30, 40, and more. And that still takes much less time. As Dr. B.J. Fox says, plant a tiny seed in the right spot, and It will grow without coaxing. Friends, I hope you will consider building the tiny habits and make them stick into building real good habits. I wish you a great new year 2023. Thank you, friends.